Swedish border just there. Going in 3 minutes. Norway here.
Against its stark background of mountain and forest, Norway is essentially a country of freshness and youth. And no nation has a greater appreciation of the pleasures to be found in outdoor life.
Another massive rain, clouds and storm coming in the direction we're going.
Much in Norway is built of wood, because after the sea, the forests are the country's greatest asset.
Stop right now because we should not be on this road.
When the weather is fine, the people certainly make the most of it.
Yeah, we've been riding into the headwind for literally 10 hours, like a gale force headwind.
The other great wealth of Norway lies in water.
What are we doing?
So this is Norway. Yes, that one to the left with all the fjords, mountains and glaciers. It just sits there on its own at the top of Europe, never bragging or seeking attention.
Beautiful things don't ask for attention.
Arguably, there is no place on the planet where the Ice Age sculptured such a vast array of terrain and landscape over what is, in essence, a small landmass. In fact, within just 500 kilometers, a great story, told by nature, unfolds in front of your very eyes. However, if you travel by car or train, that story flies by too quickly. If you walk, you'll never get past the first few chapters. The only way to truly experience this story is to cycle it. And that's what we set out to do when I proposed to cycle across the whole of Norway in one day. It's a journey that's actually never really been documented before, and perhaps for good reason. You see, the south and the north points are well defined for cyclists. However, from east to west or vice versa, it becomes arbitrary. Where do you begin? Where do you end? The narrowest point is just 6.5 kilometers long. Down south, both Bergen and Stavanger are too far to ride in a day. Trondheim too short. But what about the pretty town of Ålesund? From the Swedish border I plotted in a route with 80% tarmac and 20% gravel and other surfaces. In total, 463 kilometers with 4,100 meters of elevation gain. Just right. Now don't get me wrong, this sort of distance is never easy in a day, but it was certainly doable. I sent over the route to my friend Jeff, an ex-pro and a keen ultra-endurance rider, having competed in races all over Europe and Asia. He loved the idea and was up for joining me on this challenge. Jeff added a few alterations and voila, the Goldilocks route across Norway in a day was born.
Going in 10 minutes. It's it's starting to get a little bit light now. Pre-nerves are kicking in big time right now. I think I'll settle once we're on the road and I've got a couple of kilometers under the belt. All right, 10 minutes we go.
So yeah, 460k to Ålesund.
463k.
463 kilometers, yeah, to Ålesund, to the coast basically, and we're gonna try to get there before sunset. It's gonna be a long day. We'll just take it one little milestone at a time, I think.
Yeah. Don't think of the big picture.
No, it's a little chilly this morning too, so we got lots of clothes on. So I'm sure it's gonna warm up during the day. So
Yeah, for sure.
can't complain about the traffic at least.
Yes, we'll see you in Ålesund. Ha det bra. First 100 meters. Sun is coming up. The first town we reach is Fjords, an old copper mining town which dates back to the 17th century. It's a beautiful place, and it has some of the oldest wooden buildings in Europe. Of course, everybody was asleep when we arrived, which meant we could cruise down the main high street. Pretty cool. One quarter of the way through. What a morning! What a morning to begin with. Incredible sunrise. Couldn't have asked for anything better, to be honest.
Great.
But we need some caffeine. We so need some caffeine right now.
So we made great time this morning. It's pretty easy terrain, so
Yeah.
it's been sort of downhill and just flat. There's been much, no wind to speak of so far.
Alright, heading to the mountains, 50k, and we start to climb.
Right. Ready to roll?
Alright, let's go.
So after a short break, we hit our first gravel section. Now I wasn't really sure about this part because we didn't know what to expect. We were going into the unknown. What were the road conditions going to be like? How hard was this going to be? But Jeff, he loves adventure, and well, I put my faith in him.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm pretty comfortable with this whole idea of not really knowing exactly where the road's going at any time. I always trust the GPS track, and as long as you get through, it's pretty much okay. You just have to deal with it.
It started off pretty good, but after a while, things got a little bit tricky.
What? We're getting lost. There's 300 kilometers to go. I told you we're going to be going on every sort of terrain. This is Jeff's road, not my road, okay? I did not vote to go onto this road. Oh, I'm just so off right now. This is not what you want when you've got 465 kilometers to cycle in a day. What are we doing? What are we doing? This is the sort of ride I do, like 60 kilometers in, and I go home and like lie down for half an hour.
Matthew was a little surprised at kind of terrain we were in and not really that happy about being in there, and considering how far we had to go, it doesn't seem like the best way to get the miles put behind you. We had to have a little moment there and get out some frustration.
Don't go on this road. Don't go on this road, guys. Don't cycle this road.
So Grimsdalen is this traditional farm valley situated in between 3 national parks and mountains. It's absolutely stunning, but at the same time you're highly exposed to the elements.
You know, it's a big wide open plain. You know, the wind was just funneling down the valley and we were riding straight into the wind. You know, just looking at my speedometer, we're doing 17 kilometers an hour on the flats. It's demoralizing and it's defeating.
And now the climbing begins.
When you're riding in those kind of conditions, you need to just sort of keep your head down and keep steady pace. Don't go too hard, but at the same time, you need to keep your momentum, keep your speed.
At this point we're over 1,000 meters above sea level and you really feel the full force of Norway.
So the plan is, we've just done some really difficult roads and we just need to power it now and get the speed back up and just get the kilometers on the clock. So we're going to head onto the E136, which was our plan anyway, but we're going to head straight onto it now and just power it down there for 4 hours till Arendalsnes, and we'll try to have a good average speed.
The E136 is a main road and it's July, which means a lot of tourist traffic, but thankfully the first 50 kilometers we had a cycle path.
I was still pretty confident at that point that we were going to get it done, but we just needed to keep our stops shorter and keep focused on the road ahead. We had hoped that there would be less wind, but it really just was as strong as ever. So the optimism of looking forward to a little bit easier riding just didn't really pan out.
Romsdalen was carved out by glaciers around 11,000 years ago. It's one of the most beautiful valleys in the world. Even in bad weather or on a busy road, it's magical to cycle down. And at the end of it comes nature's masterpiece.
Trollveggen, incredibly famous here in Norway, unbelievable wall of rock. But we can't appreciate it as much as we'd like to because we need to crack on. So
far so good.
Sorry
we're also about to see the fjord for the first time.
Ah, well, That's
First time
picked my
since the border.
spirits up.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should go for a dip in there. Oh, we don't have time.
No, we don't have time.
Yeah, next time. All right, onwards we go.
Yeah.
The adventure continues.
It would hammer it down with rain, then stop. 20 minutes later, hammer it down with rain again.
The conditions became really, really challenging. I generally just stopped trying to really think if this is good or bad, just stay focused on moving forward.
So this is certainly not what you want after 340 kilometers. And worst of all, the clouds were the darkest in our direction. I actually enjoyed going through the tunnels and getting some respite from the elements. So there was a moment when it was raining so hard I couldn't see out of my shades.
At one point I turned around and Matthew was gone. He'd turned into a little farm off the road and was heading straight for the barn to seek shelter.
I shouted to Jeff, but of course he couldn't hear me because of the wind. I veered off and went onto someone's private property and went into their barn. I was having a moment. I was actually hoping the farmer might come out and shoot me, then at least it would be over. I pulled out my phone and went onto the Norwegian Weather Bureau, praying for a miracle, but in fact, they had just tweeted an extreme weather warning for the area.
So I pushed Matthew to just continue a little bit further. We had a milestone coming up, which was the big bridge, and to see if we couldn't at least get there.
So at this point, we are freezing cold, soaking wet, and fed up. This forecast was not predicted.
There's a phenomenon in this kind of long distance riding. After a certain amount of time, your body just doesn't generate heat anymore. It's using the energy that's consuming for other things. It's kind of a little bit survival mode, but it just takes the least amount of disruption in temperature to give you the chills and to really get that feeling of that you're just freezing and you're shaking. It's the worst feeling you can have in a bike.
And Norway just stopped being so beautiful. This is crazy.
Last year, I cycled into Ålesund on a beautiful summer's evening. In the centre is this iconic town mountain with panoramic views of the town and archipelago that it sits on. I remember watching the sunset there, and that was the defining image I had when I started to plan this ride. We would finish at the top with the sun setting.
You can put the camera away now. It's just not. It's not worth filming.
Just 70 kilometers from Ålesund, but it wasn't worth going on.
We could see there was real dark skies ahead over the ocean that were rolling in. I think it was, we were already cold. By the time it was 10 o'clock at night, we had a long ways to go, straight into the wind. It just didn't make sense to continue.
There was no point pushing on, arriving in Ålesund at 2 AM in the middle of a storm. What was the point? We'd just be ill for a week. It's just a ride.
For me, it's just a part of doing projects like this. Sometimes you're going to succeed and sometimes you don't.
But don't get me wrong, we were devastated. All the time, money, energy that had gone into this project, it had all gone to waste because we had no ending.
But seriously, you can put the camera away. I'm not going to use this in my edit because it's like, I'm not very happy right now. This is not.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm going to use in my edit. It's like, I don't want to be reminded of this.
It's like reading a book only to find out the last chapter has been torn out. We can't end it like this. No way. We promised you a story, and every story has an ending.
Jeff, it's Matthew. Look, I've been going through the footage and we have to do this again. We have to complete it. We can't end it like this. Are you up for it?
Well, of course, man. I'm not gonna let you have all the fun.
Well, I guess there was only one thing we could do, and that was try again. So here we are at the Norwegian and Swedish border. 450 odd kilometers. Here we come. You ready, Jeff?
I'm ready.
This is it.
Do this.
This time we mean business.
Yeah, that's right. We're getting her done today.
And we've got our bags as well. This is fully self-supported, backpacking style, Norway in a day. Wish me luck.
Okay.
Having the bags on our bike, doing it self-supported, it just felt right. This is how I usually cycle. The morning was very similar to the first ride, and we saw plenty of wildlife again. Foxes, a couple of reindeers, and plenty of moose, including a kamikaze one. There's no question, experience is everything in life. And when we reached the forest area again, this time it was a real joy. We knew where we were going, we knew what the road conditions were going to be like. It was fun, it was an adventure. No moaning.
Grimsdalen, here we come.
When we hit Grimsdalen, we were on schedule and the weather conditions were normal. There was a bit of wind about, as you'd expect 1,000 meters above sea level, but the conditions were so much easier. We were actually 9 kilometers faster per hour going over this section. Romsdalen was like a different world. Full visibility, just the most incredible views. It was beyond magical, to say the least. And we even got to spend a little bit of time at Trollveggen. At Arendalsnes, the weather was holding strong. We didn't even see this on the first ride. And riding around the calm fjords with beautiful views, let's just say we didn't underappreciate it.
There we go. 400 on the clock. Welcome to the 400 Club.
Throughout both of these rides, we had a job to do. We had a story to tell. And failure was breathing down our necks every second of the way. This was the point when we got to say goodbye to failure.
That's how it's meant to be, guys. That is how it's meant to be. That's how you roll into Ullerson.
We set out to tell you this incredible story, from the vast forests and lakes of eastern Norway to the high-rise mountain passes, to the deep glacier valleys and the majestic fjords. Norway in a day. It has it all. But most importantly, it has an ending.
I was pretty pissed off that Matthew had dragged me up that frickin' mountain and made us finish at 160 meters over sea level.